Would you walk us through the Boko Haram offensive?
Boko Haram offensive was really not part of executive outcomes. That was STEP International that actually partook in that offensive. I need to first of all make it very clear that we were a subcontractor. There was a prime contractor appointed that appointed us as a subcontractor. Our initial aim was not Boko Haram per se, but it was to rescue the Chibok girls. They were the girls that had been kidnapped, and where the Western response was #SaveTheGirls. That type of nonsense does not save girls. Unfortunately, these girls became victims of a situation where the security had broken down in a specific area. They were kidnapped, and that was the first mission, rescue the Chibok girls. We then did a selection process of the Nigerian soldiers. The soldiers were retained after the selection process, were then trained in a very specific way to conduct a hostage rescue operation. And that requires a very specific type of person. However, approximately 5 or 6 weeks into the training of the hostage rescue team, we were asked to change our mission. And that mission was to go to a town called Maiduguri in northeast Nigeria that had come under severe threat of Boko Haram. We then rapidly had to transition what we were doing and suddenly train a very offensive force with a minimum of equipment, and we rushed to Maiduguri. We met with the 7th Infantry Division commander. We finally understood the pressures he was under, and our suggestion was to him that this force we had trained, which we named the 72nd Mobile Strike Force, would actually spearhead the division. And that is precisely what we did. The operation was in 3 phases. The first phase was to actually cut a dividing line across northeastern Nigeria and isolate Boko Haram into 2 defined areas, and then mop up one area in the south was the start, and after that was done, mop up in the north. The division would follow behind, occupy terrain. We would train the division in situ in defensive positions, etc. But we were never allowed to execute the entire operation. So in 1 month, we took back terrain larger than Belgium from Boko Haram. We were not allowed to finish because it came at a time when governments were in the process of changing. I think President Jonathan's government possibly saw the entire Boko Haram contract, if we call it that, almost as a last gasp in order to regain popularity. The incoming president, President Buhari, was heavily supported by a foreign government, and one of the first missions was to terminate our contract.
Could you name that foreign government?
Yes, we were told it was the United States, and they had actually funded President Buhari's campaign. The campaign manager for President Buhari came from the US. And I'm not saying that the United States is bad. I understand foreign interests, but I would have thought that a threat such as Boko Haram on the integrity of the state of Nigeria ought to be actually a priority. It wasn't.
Why do you think the US would intervene to abort such operation?
Again, I can't answer that. I think that the US can answer, but what I've come to realize, that is when a government's foreign interests clash with the state's own domestic interests, conflict is bound to ensue. And those conflicts usually just continue with no end. And we can look at all the conflicts in Africa where foreign forces have come in, they've prolonged those conflicts, they haven't ended those conflicts. And the amount of money and manpower and equipment thrown at those conflicts says to me that something is wrong if no end result is achieved. And surely that end result should be to end the conflict and establish a basis for negotiations, come to an agreement, and then re-establish governance. But that's not what's happening in Africa.
Welcome to my channel, where we discuss everything and all things politics, especially about the 2023 presidential election held in Nigeria on February 25, 2023, and the results announced on March 1st, 2023, in controversial circumstances that are being challenged right now at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, even though Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been declared the winner of that election, and he is right now the president of the country, running the country until the Supreme Court says otherwise. Now, the video you watch is an interview granted to Al Jazeera by Ibn Balo, who was a private military contractor. Now, there are so many information loaded in that interview, but the most significant of it for the issue at stake right now is the latter part, where he alleged that American government under President Barack Obama funded the All Progressive Congress, and even Obama loaned his own campaign manager to APC to help it to win the incumbent president at the time, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party. We'll get to that and see how the whole thing makes sense in this matter we're going to talk about today. Now, the matter we are talking about today has to do with the issue of a statement by a close ally of Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, and the man who had gone to Chicago courts to demand for the academic records of Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, so that it will help him to push for his case for the disqualification of Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the 2023 presidential election, which will ultimately, if that is to happen, nullify his election. And that will mark the end of his presidency. Now, I believe that this is important because the person who issued this statement calling for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, this CIA, to probe Chicago State University's reluctance in releasing Tinubu's academic records. The person who made this call is a close confidant of Atiku Abubakar. So I believe strongly that Atiku Abubakar may be behind that statement. But I will show here that this call is a waste of time, that it will not work. I will show why the United States government will never call for the FBI or CIA to help Atiku Abubakar in terms of investigating the Chicago State University authorities. And I will give reason why I think so. But first of all, let us look at what Timi Frank, what he is saying and what he wants. And then I will now give you the reason why I think that there's no way that the United States government under the President Biden administration will do anything to help Atiku Abubakar in using the FBI or the CIA to investigate Chicago State University. Now let us look at what Timi Frank, the former Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the APC, who is now in PDP with Atiku Abubakar, he has called on the Federal Bureau of Investigation and Central Intelligence Agency to urgently investigate the authorities of Chicago State University. Okay? And the reason for this is because of the curious reluctance to release relevant academic records of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu by the university. Timi Frank, who made this request via a statement, said the probe has become necessary to determine the authenticity of the certificates offered to Americans who graduated from the university that have now been called to question by President Tinubu's claim that the university awarded him a certificate that was littered with errors by an unnamed employee of the institution, which had been tendered before Nigerian authorities. He said in order that law-abiding Nigerians are not made to believe that there is a level of compromise and complicity by the university in trying to shield Tinubu's academic record claims from public scrutiny. Independent institutions in the US need to step in. He insisted that the intervention is necessary because in previous electoral claims by Tinubu, he had also blamed errors in his academic record on other third parties. Timi Frank said rather than allow Tinubu's current claims of errors by unstated third parties in Chicago State University, the university authorities owe the American and Nigerian public the duty to publicly state the facts as they are, that Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, male, born in 1952, attended the university and submitted credentials that are accessible to the Nigerian court system. That's just a brief version of what Timi Frank was saying, or what he wanted, that the CIA and the FBI should investigate Chicago State University. What he was saying was that it's alleging that the university is on the same bed with Tinubu. They are trying to cover up for him, and this cover up, and the university being a public institution, a public university, there is a need to find out the quality and the kinds of certificates they use to award because of this Tinubu matter. But when my first attention to this statement was drawn to it because of Timi Frank's closeness to Atiku Abubakar. That is what makes it important as an issue. Because for Timi Frank to issue that statement, it means Atiku Abubakar may have approved it, or Timi Frank issued that statement reading the thinking or the mind of Atiku Abubakar. So, but whatever may be the case, know that Timi Frank is a close political confidant of Atiku Abubakar. Now, if they are thinking in that line, that American government, the present Biden administration, will, for any reason, help them or in any shape or form assist by using the state authorities, instrument of the state authority, like the CIA, the FBI, to go after the Chicago State University officials. They are not going to get anything like that. This is because there is a close relationship between the present administration in the United States and the All Progressive Congress of Nigeria. And I will give you the reason why this is so. The interview you listened to alleged that Obama administration allegedly funded Tinubu, President Muhammadu Buhari's campaign as the candidate of the All Progressive Congress. Okay? And that even a manager, campaign manager or campaign official of Obama helped in shaping the campaign of Buhari so that he could defeat the incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan. So when I put all these things together, when you get to know all these things together, you will now realize that if this is what the thinking of Atiku, that FBI and CIA can help them in investigating those people, they are wasting their time. But I will suggest what they have to do to get to the only course they have to follow that could be of assistance to what they are looking for. Now, if you remember, and at the run-up to the 2015 election, there was diplomatic row between the United States and Nigeria. The diplomatic relationship between United States and Nigeria worsened under the administration of Goodluck Jonathan. When it was discovered that the American government at the time, under Barack Obama, was not only allegedly funding the opposition All Progressive Congress campaign, but that Barack Obama's former campaign strategist had been hired by the All Progressive Congress. The Jonathan administration at the time protested strongly against White House meddling in Nigeria's affairs, which it believes is influenced by AKPD media and messages, the firm that handled the APC's political strategy in the United States. Now, the political consulting firm was co-founded by David Axelrod, an Obama confidant, who was a chief campaign advisor to Obama during the campaign for the presidency in 2008, and was later appointed senior advisor to the president. At the time, the Jonathan administration, over its hostile attitude, Jonathan administration protested over the hostile attitude to the Nigerian president, okay, by the Obama administration. They were hostile to Jonathan. And Jonathan noticed this and was protesting over this obvious endorsement of the APC candidate, Muhammad Buhari. At the time, even John Kerry, who was the U.S. Secretary of State, had issued a strong worded statement condemning the postponement of the election. At that time, the election, under Jonathan, the 2015 election was postponed. John Kerry was mad, and he warned Jonathan never to postpone that election again. Okay? And all these were seen as part of the American government endorsement, which reads actually the Democratic Party endorsement of APC opposition candidates. Okay? Also, there was a report in the Washington Free Beacon, an online newspaper, that AKPD was accused of lying that it had stopped working for APC. AKPD had also claimed that it stopped working for APC since March 2014, but that its email exchanges is with senior party members. Now, this AKPD that was co-founded by David Axelrod was working for Tinubu, not for Tinubu, for APC, okay, for Buhari's emergence as president. At that time, there was an uproar in American media that this thing is happening, that Obama person is spearheading a campaign in Nigeria to bring in the opposition leader back to power. Okay, they denied it, but there were an online newspaper in America was able to show that, contrary to the claim by AKP that AKP has stopped working for the APC, they said that AKP has quietly continued to perform political work on Buhari's behalf as he fights to unseat the then President Goodluck Jonathan. So this online newspaper, was able to allegedly reveal email exchanges between APC leaders, including Malam Nasir El-Rufai, including Rotimi Amechi, including Kayode Fayami, and others. The exchanges they had with AKPD, this consulting firm that is linked to Barack Obama's former aide and everything. Okay, so that established that there was a link between the APC and the Obama administration. Now, somebody like me, I was aware of that Obama's meddlesomeness in Nigeria's affairs, the effort they made to unseat Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. That was the reasons many of us, when they succeeded in removing Jonathan, many of us was also happy when Obama failed to put a Democrat, Hillary Clinton, as a continuation of his regime in 2020 election. That was in the 2016 election that was won by President Donald Trump. Okay, many of us were excited about it, so that Obama will be defeated because of what he did in Nigeria. Many of us were happy. That's why many of us I supported Donald Trump victory in 2016, because I felt that why should Obama complain that there was Russian meddlesomeness in their own election, but meanwhile they meddled in Nigeria's election. So it was, I was particularly excited that Trump won. But that's by the way. Now, the significance of this is this. The significance of this information is this. Now, Trump had been defeated, because I can tell you for free that Trump was hostile to Buhari administration, just as Obama was hostile to Jonathan administration. I remember one of the things that former President Buhari said. He narrated his experience with Trump. He said he had a meeting. He was telling his ministers that he had a meeting with Donald Trump when he visited US. And Donald Trump looked him straight in the face and told him, "Why are you killing Christians?" Buhari said that he was shocked by that question. Okay. So Buhari was now asking his ministers, if you are there, what would you have said? Because you know how blunt Trump is. He said, "Why are you killing Christians?" So Buhari narrated how he was able to manage that kind of confrontational question, which was a typical Trump style. Okay, but Trump was defeated in 2020, and now what we have is Biden administration. Biden was vice president to Obama, and the Biden is now a continuation of the Obama administration. So how do you expect them to treat a candidate of the All Progressive Congress that they helped to install in Nigeria, treat them harshly, or to undermine a president that was produced by that same political party that they did everything possible to install in Nigeria? So that is one aspect you have to look at it. It's not possible that they are going to release the FBI and CIA to work against Tinubu like that. Okay, so that idea should be waved aside. That idea should be waved aside, because the Obama administration is continuing under Biden, and Biden administration cannot do any harm to Tinubu, basically by releasing the state authority like CIA and FBI to go after Tinubu, to go after the Chicago State University. They're not going to do that, in my own thinking. Okay, you remember that already the Biden administration has extended invitation to Tinubu to visit US on official visit. According to a statement by the special advisor to President Tinubu on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, the U.S. presidential envoy and Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Ambassador Molly Fee, disclosed this when he visited the Nigerian leader on Saturday. Fee was quoted to have told Tinubu that Biden had requested to meet him on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York City, to advance discussions further in late September. The American envoy noted that Tinubu is the only African leader that U.S. president has honored with such invitation. Okay, so he honored Tinubu with a special invitation to meet him on the sidelines of the United Nations in September. So anybody thinking or waiting for Biden to unleash the FBI or CIA to investigate alleged complicity of Chicago State University officials in these academic documents or records of Tinubu. Anybody waiting on him to do that, Biden to help in doing that using the FBI or CIA, he's just wasting his time. It's not going to happen. Now, besides this, also note that Chicago, where the suit was filed, is the political territory of Barack Obama. Obama was a senator in Chicago, in the state of Chicago, and he represented that district before he became president of the United States. So he wears a lot of influence, and if he can do anything to assist Tinubu, he's likely to do it. Okay, because their relationship goes even further than that. For example, it is important to also note that President Tinubu, is alleged to have donated $5,000 to receive a gold medal invitation to President Obama's nomination for the November 2012 presidential election in the United States. You know, in that 2012, there was a lot of uproar that Tinubu was invited at an event to mark the nomination of Obama for second term as the presidential candidate of the Democratic Party. Okay, and in that event, for that event, is people who donated 5,000 and above are those who donated $5,000 were those who were given a gold card invitation to attend that event, and that is a huge contribution. That if you contribute that to a presidential candidate or to the Democratic Party in the United States, they see you as a friend of the party and a friend of their candidate. And there are many people who believe that those strategic moves by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2012 aided in the support that he enjoyed when APC was seeking to unseat the incumbent PDP government in 2015. Now, since that is the case, it therefore means that anybody having any hope on the present Democratic Party to use FBI or CIA to investigate Chicago State University because of Atiku Abubakar, the person is wasting his time. It's not going to work. However, what will work is for Atiku Abubakar to stick to the judiciary in America, to do all he can to use the judicial process, because the courts in America have over the years shown that they are reliable. They are not biased by any political interest. That is the solution to Atiku Abubakar's quest to unseat Tinubu using his records at Chicago State University. Thank you for watching this video. And if you are new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel, hit the subscription button, hit the notification bell, so that anytime I have a new video, you'll be among the first to know. God bless you.